Welcome to the Silver Bullets podcast on the Ozone Radio Network, your authority on all things Ohio State. And now, here are your hosts, WVA Buckeye and Charles at the BBC, to discuss the women's basketball team, Ting.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ting on the Silver Bullets podcast, the Ozone Radio Network. I'm Chris Hunt, along with Charles Kuhn once again, and we're going to try to get this right this time. Katie has been gracious to rejoin us and try to redo the interview we did before. And Katie, I know you've been really busy here lately, so thank you very much for fitting us back into your schedule.
Anytime, you guys.
All right, so I will go ahead and get this out in the open now because everybody's going to miss out on the great joke that was the end of our last show. I kind of threatened to tackle Katie if I ever got to see her in person, and then Shannon made fun of me because the inside joke is my favorite male athlete of all time at Ohio State is Andy Katzenmoyer, and my favorite female is obviously Katie Smith. Well, I got to meet Andy Katzenmoyer at an Ohio State football game that he was honored at this last year.
Let's set the stage right. You didn't get to meet Andy Katzenmoyer. You ran over like a little girl screaming on your tippy toes, yelling, "He's my hero, he's my hero."
Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much what the story is, and so I apologize for threatening to tackle you, Katie, but it will be an honor to finally meet you at some point in time, and I'm waiting for my buddy Patrick to pull that off for me, so sometime in the near future, I hope.
Well, at least I'll know it's you. So if I do get tackled and hugged, I will know exactly who it is, and I will not be afraid. So it's all good.
And to be fair, I forewarned. I mean, unfortunately you left the conversation, but I was making a comment that if you seen a 6'2", almost 300-pound guy running at you, that's going to be me too, and I'll probably be in front of him pushing him back. So I'm sure we'll probably see you at a football game this year, honoring you like at halftime or between one of the quarters or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see. But it'd be a pleasure to meet you guys.
Looking forward to it, Katie. And getting back into the business of things, we'd like to hear, and of course the fans that are listening, that sports Ting, we'd like to hear and talk to you about your time at Ohio State. The last time, and we're going to get to talk a little bit about this year's team and their fate with what's coming in the tournament. But, 93, you guys had a pretty special team that went all the way to the championship game, and just talk a little bit about the success of that team and what it's meant for your career.
Yeah, it was special. You go into something, they have, Ohio State has a history of having great women's basketball programs, but there wasn't anything that right at that time was, Final Fours or anything like that. So, we had a great class coming in. We had some really, really good seniors, but no idea we weren't ranked, but just no clue that this is something that we could get done or would even remotely be able to do. I'm not even sure we thought about it, and ended up getting there, and just the way we went about practice, the way we played pickup games, the way we competed against each other, it all started to click. And, we had a couple signature wins, beating Iowa, beating Virginia on national TV, traveling to the East Coast, beating Boston College, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, here we are, Big Ten champs and able to get in the NCAA tournament. And then who would have thought that we made a run? But such a fun time, unexpected, but something that honestly just kind of catapulted me forward. And, with my basketball career, just kind of continued it on.
Absolutely. And to that, the one thing that I didn't think to ask you the last time we spoke was that if you had to compare that great team of '93 with the great class coming in with yourself and the seniors who were on that team. How would you compare? I know where I'd put that team in the annals of Ohio State women's basketball, but how would you compare it to the better teams over the years at Ohio State?
I think we're right up there. The hardest one for me to compare is the players before me with Tracy Hall, Lisa Klein, the whole crew that, Perozic, those guys, because those guys are talented and got wins. And, so the older generation, I can't quite compare. All I know is they had some some of the best ballers at Ohio State came out of the older crew. And I think some of them still play to this day. So it's, for those guys, it's a little hard to compare. More recently, yeah, I think our team can play with anybody. It's one of the best teams that was at Ohio State. We're all different. Our styles are different. How the game was played at different areas. It's really hard to compare, but I think our team's right up there.
I would agree with that. I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. You are the only team so far to make it to a final and almost win it. One of the better finals of all time in the women's NCAA. So I've got you guys up there number one until you get knocked off, and this team's got a chance this year. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, they do, and I appreciate that. But no, they definitely have a great shot at being able to make some noise here in the tournament.
Charles?
No, I definitely agree. I mean, both with where we put that '93 team. I mean, right up there, and I would love to see it somehow see a matchup between that team and some of the more recent teams in the current one. I think that would be some real good basketball, but I don't think time works quite that way.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of people would like to see different matchups, but as I said, I put our squad against anybody. And again, styles may do different, coaches, all of that. But I think all these teams, you put us in a series, it's going to be a knockdown drag out. But no, it's a lot of fun to talk about. And it was a great time for us to be able to make that run and bring a lot of people with us.
Yes. So obviously the big news, actually you've had a lot of big news recently, being named the head coach of the New York Liberty, getting elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame. So with those two, pretty big honors for you, how do those rank kind of in your whole career list of achievements?
It's up there. I struggle with, which one is the most important or which one do I like the most? Because, my journeys, obviously the Final Four run, winning 2 ABL championships, 2 in WNBA, my Olympic gold medals, my jersey retired at Ohio State. Like, these are all things, even the top 20 at 20 for the WNBA, things like that. Those are all really, really special. They're, acknowledgement of, the work you put in, the love for the game that you have. And it's interesting because you didn't start it to get these things and never really thought it would happen. And then now that being in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame is just another addition to some of the things I've really, felt just proud of to have gone about the career the way I did, to have the people that have been, supporting and a part of my life through the whole thing. So it's another special thing. I don't know if it tops all of the others. It's just another that has made this run and this this time of my life, my playing career, something just really, really special.
So before we kind of get into to this year's team, then maybe we could talk a little bit about your new coaching gig. So you come in with a team, made the playoffs a couple years in a row now, so kind of in a good situation to be in. What are you looking forward to this season with the Liberty?
We have a solid team. We have, most of our team coming back. We've had the third best record over the last 2 years. We have a talented player in Tina Charles, who's an Olympian and just, it's really a beast in the league. But, I'm just I'm anxious to see if I can figure out the identity that we need, or the things that we need to be about. Like, what are the main things that we should we run? Are we a defensive team? Are we any of these things? So it's going to be fun to kind of see how I view the game and what I see from this team, and see if I can get it done and implement it and get us to execute on a high level on both ends of the floor. So it's going to be a challenge to not do too much or try to do too much, but also just trust my instincts in the sense of what I know basketball wise, and hopefully build the best team we possibly can, both on and off the floor, that we're out there competing every night.
Yeah, and well, I know everyone here will be cheering for you, and I'm pretty sure Ohio State fans everywhere will be doing likewise. So I suspect you'll have a lot of support this year.
I hope so. I hope we've gained some fans, and I'll take all the well wishes.
Yeah, well, I already followed the New York Liberty on Twitter.
Good.
Yeah, so I followed them on Twitter and retweeted some things for you, their coach, and just remember me when you really hit the big time with the WNBA. But all joking aside, with your time with the New York Liberty already, and spoke about influences in the past, and let's go back to starting out with the Storm. Being a WNBA MVP. What was the one thing, or maybe the one person in your time as a player that impacted your desire to be a coach? Because I know at one time you weren't 100% sure that's what you wanted to be the next stage of your career.
Yeah, I really never wanted to coach or thought that was what I was going to get into. But as I ended my career, I don't know if it wasn't, I didn't have anything planned per se, or I already knew I loved the game and I loved being around it. But I got an opportunity to move over after I finished my career in New York playing to be an assistant for Bill. And I knew somewhat what it entailed. Until you're in it, you don't quite understand the time commitment and, all of the thought that goes in, both about your players and about your game plans and practice and how to get people better. So, and then once I was in, I think I got, I got stuck basically, because I do love it. I love the relationships. I love the game. I love trying to figure it out, the chess match, and trying to get better. So yeah, I guess it all kind of happened, and now it's, I'm going to be maybe if you ask me my style, it's hard to maybe verbalize, but I'm a combination of all the coaches that probably have coached me, both, the defense, offense, things I'd like to do, things I don't want to do. But those are things that I think all of us are. We're kind of that whole eye of everybody that has, been our coaches and maybe even teammates. They've kind of made us who we are.
Great.
Maybe kind of moving in now to looking at this year's OSU team, kind of a up and down season at times, really good stretches, a few hiccups in there, but won the Big Ten tournament with 3 games that were very different. They won a blowout against Rutgers. They had to rally from some deficits against Minnesota, and then they had to hold off a really good Maryland team, but comes into the tournament with a lot of momentum. What do you think about where this team is right now?
I think they're playing well. I think they have some confidence. They after that USF loss, I think they finished strong during the regular season, and then during the tournament. They handled a tough game against Minnesota, and then Maryland, gave them everything they wanted. But really happy that they kind of found their mojo. I think their defense is a little bit better, or has been a little bit more consistent. I mean, the devil's advocates say that they haven't played anybody very tough. The Big Ten isn't, I don't think, really regarded as one of the better leagues at the moment. So you can say that, but I also think that they did lock in more on the defensive end. And, of course, at the end of the day, these guys can flat out score. So whoever is going to beat them or hang with them, has to be able to put points on the board. But I think they're feeling good going into the tournament and obviously hosting one of the first and second round games because they finished with a 3 seed. And that's exciting for Columbus. And I hope people come out and support these ladies.
Absolutely. I hope the fans show out in droves Saturday. Lady Buckeyes expected to tip off right around 1:30 in St. John Arena, and Katie, that's where you set your records and stuff. Is there a better iconic facility than St. John Arena?
For me, no. I mean, it's I love St. John. It's just the atmosphere. People are right up on top of you. Even if you only have 3,000, it feels way more. It's a comfortable arena. I go to Cameron Indoor every once in a while, some of the older arenas, and it's nuts because even, St. John holds 13,000. It's not like it's small, but it's so cozy. No, it doesn't have all the amenities and bells and whistles, but for a basketball game, it just feels right to me. And for me, I was happy to play my 4 years there.
I was happy to see they're going to be playing in St. John. I never was a huge fan of Value City. I thought it doesn't have the atmosphere. Having seen some women's NCAA tournament games at St. John, I mean it just doesn't compare. I think it's going to be a much better atmosphere. I think it's going to be a big boost for the team too.
Yeah, I hope so. I know they play a game or two there, just to make sure that they can then host a game at that at that venue. So, good place. It's a good place. I just I think they enjoy playing there. But also Schottenstein Center is their home as well. But for me, I was happy to be able to spend my time, those 4 years at St. John's.
Well, they had a facility issue in Columbus, in Ohio State this weekend because the OHSA Girls State Championships began Thursday with a couple of games in the afternoon. Tip things off at 1 and 3, and then the championships all 4 on Saturday. So the 1:30 time may beat the start of one of those championship games by about a half hour, but traffic is going to be crazy around the campus. I've been up there when you've had the wrestling going on and you've had basketball going on, and it's absolutely crazy. So I know the fans will enjoy themselves in St. John Arena.
Yeah, make sure they get down there early. Walk around, go see a high school game, go over to see the ladies. There's lots to do. So, but I hope they come out.
Absolutely. And speaking of high school basketball, how much has that changed since you played the game? The athletes seem to be getting bigger and better the longer we go.
Yeah, I mean they do, but they don't too. I feel like if I was thrown back in time, that life would be just fine. But I do think that and with a lot of others. But I do believe that there's guards that are 6'2" and there's bigs that are 6'6", and I think the size and athleticism is just I was big. I was a post player and. But then even in the league, I was a big guard at 5'10". I played a little 1 and 2. I mean, I was still pretty solid at size-wise, but there's the size of them, and then the versatility of the bigs is probably the biggest thing that's changing. Is that you're 6'4", but handling the ball, shooting threes, being able to do a lot of things. But these kids, skill-wise, are just ball handling, creativity. And then again, the size, I think from top to bottom is that everybody's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, just in the past 15 years, I know of watching and paying attention to it. It's real big changes size-wise for both high school and college. And as you said, how versatile the bigs are now, that they can actually step outside, they can handle the ball, they can shoot threes. And even 10 years ago, that a rare thing.
No, it is. I mean, it's just, yeah, as I said, that the way they shoot it and the way they handle and just comfortable all over the floor. And it puts a lot of pressure on bigs. You got to be able to guard and got to be able to move. And it's just, it's a lot of fun to see. But it ups the ante. You got to make sure that your skills are tight and that you're also staying versatile and adding to your game. Can't be one dimensional anymore to have success.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's good though. It's leading to really much better basketball, much more exciting, and I think we'll get a great chance to see that, this weekend.
No, I do. These games are it's nuts how the parity is slowly but surely, I think, getting better in the women's game. It's the mid majors are starting to close that gap a bit. Because you have a ton of ladies who are playing basketball as they're growing up, who have this dream, who have that vision, and are getting it done. And they're not all going to the majors, and there's going to be those sleepers. So it's going to be a blast to watch the first and second rounds and see this competition, because there's going to be some good ball games.
I definitely agree. So let's take a look a little bit more at what OSU has. So a 3 seed draws an opening round matchup against George Washington for that, and then if they win that, take on either LSU or Central Michigan.
I think, GW, I don't know a ton about them. I know Jen Rosati and their coach, but I'm not sure they have the firepower. Probably a solid defensive team. They'll try to come in and somewhat scheme to try to slow down Kelsey and the crew, but I'm not sure, either George Washington can score enough. LSU Central Michigan, I think, will probably be a good game. I mean, all I hear about it, I haven't watched Central Michigan, is they had a heck of a year and they have a solid team and have a really great coach. LSU this year has made some noise in the SEC, and they play solid defense. I mean, they get after you and pride themselves on that. So if Ohio State got through George Washington and ended up seeing LSU, they've obviously played some of the best teams in the country. I think the SEC is probably your strongest league day in and day out. And I know that, watching them firsthand, that they do get after it on the defensive end, and they would try to, lock up and slow down Ohio State. I'm just not sure, again, that they have enough scoring to get by them in the end. They may, make life tough for Ohio State, but not sure they can put enough points on there.
I agree. I think that would be a very interesting matchup with that defensive ability of LSU. But as you said, I mean, their game against Central Michigan could be one of the best first-round games, I think, out there. And I'm very, very interested to see how that plays out. And I'm hoping for a good knockdown drag-out in that one, for a bit. As you said, LSU
I do believe. Yeah, I do believe that's going to be a decent game. I think Central Michigan's Buffalo and those guys put up 90-some points both in the MAC championship.
Yeah, I mean, they can score, and so that'll be a test for LSU. And I mean, they won some big SEC games, but they also had some head scratchers. I mean, they lost Northern Colorado at the beginning of the year. You kind of go, really?
Yeah, no, they're not the most consistent, but I think this year has been one of their better years overall. And again, I just, sometimes you err on the side of just their resume in the sense of having to play in the SEC game in and game out, and that's not easy for anybody.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And that the interesting thing about each time that we've had conversations, Katie, and the one theme that I hear you say a lot, and maybe I can get you to expand on a little bit, is at the rate that Ohio State likes to score, a lot of these teams are going to struggle to keep up. Do you believe that they dictate the pace of basketball games more than not, and in the times more particularly the first time they faced Maryland, did they just have a bad night against Maryland?
I mean, please believe Ohio State is not the most consistent team when it comes to defense and sometimes scoring, right? I mean, or just being efficient. Let's just say that. So, that's not as, they definitely kind of, up and down a little bit, as you can see during the season. And sometimes when they play, better teams, they struggle. But I do believe that, so say somebody's playing defense and they're in the ball game, and it's close. I err on the side that Ohio State's probably going to win this thing because they have the ability to put the ball in the hole. And at the end of the day, you need people to go get a score. And I think Ohio State has that. So I think that does give them a larger margin for error, even if they mess around and it's a tight game with George Washington. I still believe Ohio State's going to pull away in the end, even if it goes 3 quarters that it's tight. I just don't believe many people can put the ball in the hole, both just Kelsey or the whole squad. And also they're a little disruptive when it comes to their pressing. Now, if you handle the press, then you can get yourself some easy looks. But they are disruptive, and they make you speed up, and they make you turn it over, and then you start taking some shots that maybe you aren't comfortable taking, and then they really, make you pay. So I do think that their margin for error is a little larger than most because they can go get a bucket when needed.
Right, and that's kind of where Charles and I have been most of this season, and what's been for us, what's been so frustrating at the times, like the first Maryland game and a couple of the other games, the second Michigan game, which in all honesty, they had to pay them twice within 8 days, and that's difficult in any league or any conference at the college level. We have been very happy with that offensive output, just simply because everybody's been involved more so this year scoring than they had since Kelsey had been at Ohio State. She's not necessarily garnering that many more assists because you see Harper and a couple of the forwards picking up those assists because of the offense they do run. But it's been amazing to me, the development of the team as a whole. And I think the last time Charles and I checked, they were pretty close to having all 5 starters averaging double figures in scoring.
No, it's true. I mean, she has, not only is she just individually a problem for a lot of people. I mean, you just want to contain her. I mean, she's going to get points, and usually when you think you've kept her under control for, again, a half or most of the game, I mean, she's really capable of putting up about 15 points in a short amount of time. So she's kind of on her own, a little island to a point, but she does take so much attention, and Harper's been consistent. And I thought Mavunga played, I mean, exceptionally in the Big Ten tournament. It was one of the main reasons why they won. She was playing on both ends of the floor. And then I think, missing Asia Doss was, obviously she's one of their main defensive players and energy players, but I thought Mavunga really stepped up, and Harp has been solid. Sierra Calhoun is always a threat. Somebody shoots the ball so well and has been playing well all year. So Alexa Hart, so I really feel like the people stepped up. And that's what they're going to need as it goes down, because
exactly.
You're going to need that from every single person to make it a long run in the tournament.
Did you ever think you would see a 20-20 from an Ohio State player?
I don't know. I never thought about it, but yeah, I mean, I
didn't either.
I mean, you see it off and on. I just, you know what I mean. I don't think about it, but I just think it's awesome that she has that motor, and really gets after it, and has a hunger for getting rebounds, which is not the case for everybody, and it's a trait that is coaches love. You do the intangibles right, and the grunt work, and you kind of wear people down throughout a ball game because you're really relentless.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I think the most impressive part of that too was she pulls off that many rebounds and yet still could get up high and got 2-3 blocks in that final 2 minutes there in that game.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she really came up big, and as I said, the defensive end, and she has an energy about her. But I've always been a fan of hers just because of her motor. And it isn't that she touches the basketball all the time on the block and making post moves and things like that. She's really creating and takes what the game gives her. She's not one of those that you need to run something for me. She's like, I'm going to make my presence felt, no matter what. So you appreciate that because you need players like that who are just like, all right, let me go in here and just, create havoc.
I started coaching my daughter when she was 8 years old, who is also a big fan of yours, Katie, because of the way you played defense. And I taught her at a very young age that you've got to get there and set that screen and make them run through you, because if you don't, if you get there and it's a light screen, you're not going to help the team. And there's something about the way Stephanie Mavunga sets screens that other players either just give up or they do run through her and she draws the foul.
No, it's true. I mean, she does. As I said, little stuff is what really separates teams, right? I mean, the big stuff,
Yes.
Obviously you got to put the ball in the hole, but setting the good pick that creates an opportunity for your player to score, or you put the defense in a disadvantage, and then they have to help, and you're able to get an open run for a rebound. So it's just, you don't get rewarded for those things, and they don't make you an all-star because you set picks. Sometimes they do it with you rebound, but those are the unsung, the things that just don't get noticed or get praised, except for maybe the coaches. But again, it's, you're not getting the accolades, and sometimes players don't want to do those things. But that's really, really the key to teams that end up being consistent and end up winning championships are the ones that'll do everything. And honestly, every player will do everything. They'll basically do anything they have to do to win.
All right. Well, we've covered just about everything. Let's talk about your schedule over the next several weeks, because you've got the draft. The WNBA draft is coming up after the end of the season. Then you guys really start working towards the start of the season. But as far as the personal accolades go, is the introduction of the Hall of Fame class, are they doing anything with that? They've already done that at the Schottenstein when you were finally found out that you were going into the Hall of Fame. Is there anything going on this weekend that the fans need to know about during the first and second rounds, or is it just the Final Four when they finally introduce the whole class?
So, so not much. This weekend is just all games, first, second rounders. Everybody's doing it, but during the Final Four, they'll, us locally, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, we'll all get recognized, I think, at some point during one of the semifinal games, and then the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame will get announced, I think, on the 31st at the men's Final Four. So that's that's down the road here a couple of weeks. So there's going to be a lot of activities. And for me, just having the Final Four in Columbus is the biggest thing that I'm pumped about, is having our city, my hometown, have it, host it, make everybody feel great, and that it's, we're here to celebrate. And, again, I'm proud of our city. I'm proud of the people who've put in a lot of time, a lot of energy into getting this here. And that's the, Sports Commission, Ohio State, hotels. Everybody's had a hand in it, and it just is always makes me proud, because I do believe that Columbus is a special place that people come together to get things done. And I think this is a great example of us celebrating Women's Final Four, but also celebrating our city.
Absolutely, it's definitely an exciting time, and looking forward to seeing how that blows the city up. I've been in Columbus like many other people on football Saturdays, so I don't imagine it'll be that bad traffic-wise, but it'll probably be pretty close.
Right.
Charles, you got anything else?
No, I think that's it. I'm at this point, I'm looking forward to seeing the games going this weekend. And that goes that. I really want to thank Kate for taking the time to twist again. Hopefully, it goes right technically this time.
No, I love talking to you guys. And again, I do appreciate you guys supporting the women's game. We need more of you guys out there. But I really appreciate you guys knowing your stuff and really being there for the ladies.
You are very welcome, and we are led to do what we do because we have good people like Shannon Summers doing all of the podcasts that he does for the Ozone Radio Network, and our fans need to check all of them out. But we're led by our love for Ohio State women's basketball. We love the coaching staff. I've known Patrick since he was in middle school. He's a great friend, and I appreciate the support that he's given us, that Coach McGuff has given us. I'm still holding on to getting him on here in a few weeks when all things are said and done. But we definitely appreciate you being here, Katie, and being one of the pace setters for women's basketball, not just in Columbus, but worldwide, with the impact you've had on in the Olympics and everything, and women's professional basketball.
I appreciate you guys.
All right, everybody.
I just want to jump in real quick because I just got one question before we let Katie go. You mentioned, you're working with Bill Laimbeer. As a fan of basketball and watching basketball ever since I was a little kid, I think the first game I remember ever watching, and I think I was like maybe 3 years old, was between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in the national championship. But that the Bad Boys, Bill Laimbeer and the Bad Boys, is he a coach that coaches like that? I mean, is his personality still that, as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, I hate him for the way he played and what he brought to the court? Or is he just really a nice guy and just being on the court is something different?
He's got a little bit of both. He doesn't coach, he doesn't coach rant and raving, throwing things, anything like that. He's a very thoughtful and a very smart guy. Like he's more of an intellect. And he kind of played like that. If anybody really, really watched him, like he was a smart basketball player. And knew his role and did his role to the best of his ability. So, but does he have those what people assume of Bill as being a jerk and things like that? He's got that too. So he is, he's not always warm and fuzzy, but he is a very loyal guy to the people that are in his world. He does, he takes care of those people and cares for them. But as I said, he's a very smart guy, very thoughtful guy. But he also has moments where you just want to, you kind of want to shake him. But other than that, he's been somebody who I enjoy playing for, enjoy being on the other side with him and learning from him. And him, and then Ricky was also my assistant, Rick Mahorn, and then Isaiah is our president in New York. So I've had a lot of experience with some of these bad boys, and I understand why they were successful. I mean, they're both talented physically, and then also were bright guys who understood how to compete and get things done.
Either way, they played it back in the 80s. I think the games would be a lot more interesting.
Agreed. I might think so too.
There was no shaking hands afterwards and saying, hey, heck of a game and everything. I still remember that spat between Isaiah and Magic. But, I grew up and I became a fan of Magic just because of the way he was always smiling when he played and got others involved. And I just, when you guys were sitting there talking about basketball, I watched women's basketball in high school, and I think that the women are really catching up as far as the speed and the movement and everything. There's a lot more flow to it than there was, like, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and some of that's the rules that they've made. But, man, some of these, we were joking the other night, I was on KG Area 21, that half the players that are in the NBA wouldn't be able to make it if they played back when, or even played just, 15 years ago. It's like they wouldn't even be able to play in the league. And that's, I think some of the older guys wish it was like that. It wasn't as easy to just be in the league and make it.
Yeah, it was nice watching you and Cheryl Swoops and everybody in the Olympics and, the WNBA back then.
Oh, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun for me.
Okay, I'm done.
All right.
Close it out.
Are you done now, Shannon?
Yes. Sorry for interrupting.
Is that the equivalent of tackling her before me?
Yes, it's a kind of. A precursor.
All right. There you go. Well, Katie, you take care and hope to see you in person sometime down the road. And again, thank you very much for joining us.
You got it, you guys. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. With us has been Katie Smith on this episode of Strength Ting on Silver Bullets podcast here on the Ozone Radio Network. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.